All right, this is my chapter 1 or module 1, video number 3. The one thing that we don't talk about when it comes to essential stuff, which is funny because it very well may be essential, or they may be essential, are phytochemicals. When you look at plant material, forget about animal stuff and flesh, plant material. There's vitamins, there's minerals, there's dietary fiber, there's carbohydrates, there's plants provide protein, plants provide fat. They're a great source of water. But then there's all the other stuff, things that provide color, taste, texture, things that the plant may make to protect itself, right? Plants don't have antibodies that roam around looking for bad stuff. They make these compounds called flavonoids, which do have a flavor component. We actually group them under phyto. Phyto stands for plant, so they're plant chemicals, they're phytochemicals. These have a ton of biological properties that are probably bad, right, for humans. Like there's hemlock, I believe is what Socrates took to die. So there's clearly toxins in plants, but there may be a lot of good stuff. They can act as antioxidants. They defend the body against sunlight and bad oxygen and whatever. They can regulate your synthesis of your protein in your body. They probably most likely affect your friendly bacteria that are inside your GI tract. Soy has what we call phytoestrogen, which can act as estrogen. That's one of the reasons why we think soy is good for the heart, because estrogen, the female sex hormone, is very heart protective. They have biological properties. Dark chocolate, the right type, will increase your blood flow, decrease your blood clotting, which is actually a good thing, and can lower blood pressure for 2 to 4 hours. These are real things, yet we don't call them essential. It's up to you if they are or they aren't. In my mind, they are because humans have been exposed to them for forever, since the dawn of our species. The problem is there's so many phytochemicals. Which ones do you choose to be healthy? Which ones do you choose to be unhealthy? And I think that is such a Herculean task, there's a good word, that my field has decided just to ignore them. They are probably the seventh nutrient, whether we like it or not. Okay, but the end of this chapter talks about assessment only because we're not a dietetics class, but we will transition into different assessment techniques for health, which is diet related, like your bad and good cholesterol in the fat chapter are related to the types of fat you eat. When you can't regulate your sugar in your bloodstream, that causes what we call diabetes. We measure things and it has outcome. So when you assess a patient in the field of dietetics, you do the same thing that every other doctor does, right? She will ask you your medical history. She may do a dietary assessment. Hey, how do you eat? What do you eat? She may take your height and weight if you're an athlete. There are other things that she can measure. She can weigh you in water for your percent body fat. We look at physical examination. When it comes to diet in America, for people, for people who are at risk, the homeless or substance abusers, they may have physical symptoms of poor diet. Many people don't. The vast majority of Americans do not. You're looking now at things you can't see. These are not overt, right? These are not overt, they're covert. The term we use is subclinical. It does not express visually or through your senses that the patient has anemia, high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, high blood sugar. You have to measure these things. This is where we are today. And frankly, that's where we are today. Where are we moving to? Genetic testing, right? So we can predict who will have high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol. We don't do a lot of physical examination much anymore in nutrition. Okay, if a patient's not eating enough of a nutrient and they develop a deficiency, that's called a primary deficiency. Iron is probably the most likely nutrient on the planet to cause a deficiency because people don't get enough of it. If you do eat enough of it, iron, but you are still deficient in iron in your body, it could be something else is going on. You have blood loss. You are a 11-year-old female who transitions into puberty and have a menstrual cycle. Whatever you were eating at 11 is clearly not enough at 13 because your loss of iron is greater. So the deficiency may not be due to diet, but due to more blood loss or medication or something else. Okay, overt symptoms like like a really bad skin rash due to inadequate intake of zinc. That's something you can see. It's overt. You see it. You visualize it. You can observe it. Covert, you cannot. That's a blood test, an X-ray, CAT scan. The other terms we use in medicine are called, well, they use in medicine are clinical. So the patient shows up at the hospital with a bow, with an arrow protruding from their head, right? You clinically see the arrow. Or a patient shows up at the hospital at their dentist and they feel great, and it's a routine dental appointment, and they get an X-ray and their dentist is like, yeah, you get 5 cavities. That would be subclinical, right? They were covert, you didn't know about them, and now you're very sad. All right. How are you developing diseases that are nutrition related? Well, sometimes they're not nutrition related. Iron deficiency causes anemia, low red blood cell count. Sickle cell anemia, hemophilia, inability to clot, Down syndrome, those are completely genetic. They have nothing to do with diet. The problem is for most humans, you land somewhere in between. It's diet and genetics, right? That's, most people know this. What many of my students don't know is it's not only diet and genetics. So if it was just diet and genetics, and by the way, that's a whole field called nutritional genomics, literally looking at DNA and how it interacts with someone's diet. And by the way, just it's in the tip of the iceberg. We're just not there yet. And that would be great. You could take someone's blood sample when they're 1 year old and then say, okay, you can eat bananas, but you can't eat tomatoes, and you're going to live to 80. The problem with that is it's not actually real. So as you get older, your DNA doesn't change, but parts of your DNA can be turned off and turned on. That's called epigenetics, and that is a very common biological outcome. Like it's almost, many people call it gene silencing. And diet can silence good genes. That's bad, but diet can also silence bad genes. That's good. And I do have videos, by the way, in Canvas talking about this. So you're not a book that is never going to change. You're not going to remove the words, but you can highlight them or cover them with permanent marker. That's epigenetics. And it's a thing. It's a real thing. And then and again, there's another great video I have in Canvas on nutritional symbiosis. Right, you carry more bacteria than the number of cells in your body, and so we have a ton of bacteria. We have viruses that live in our body. We have fungi that live on our body, under our fingernails, in our nose. All these things interact, and it could be that. Is yogurt good for you because yogurt has calcium? Or is yogurt good for you because yogurt has friendly bacteria, which may inhibit unfriendly bacteria in the GI tract? I don't know. Maybe both. How much? It depends on each person. So you have to watch those videos in Canvas. They are they're funny and witty. They're like a couple of those are cartoon videos, and they really get into how complex this is. It's not just diet and in genetics. It's a combination, really, of a lot of things going on. And that is it. And that ends the last video for this slide set.